Hello, beautiful, and welcome to Mom's Talk Sex, the podcast with me, your host, Mor Yelvington of Morph, Transform Into You, where I help you step out of trauma and reclaim your power. I'm so honored and excited for this conversation today. I have the beautiful Chanel here with me. Hey, girl.
Hey,
I'm so
I'm
happy
excited
that
to
you're
be
here. So, we're going to just dive in. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you're doing here with us?
Sounds great. So I am an attraction frequency healer, and so I help women to attract the love of their life, and that's usually by allowing them to remove all of the past hurt and pain and heartache from your life, so that you can actually raise your frequency and really attract that good, faithful, quality man that you're looking for. Plus, like being able to attract the things you want in your life. And I started doing this because before I met my husband, I was like a crazy party girl, drank all the time. And it was like, I felt like I was chronically single, and I couldn't figure out like why nobody wanted, the alcoholic party girl. Like, why do you want to marry me? Right? Like, what's happening? No, but then I had this like boyfriend that just really just wreaked havoc in my life, and I really had to think like, I think it's me. Actually, I think I am bringing them to my life, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I started to do the healing work, and I realized that there was a lot of things about me that needed to heal. And then once I started aligning those, I met my husband in like 90 days. And
Wow.
as we got married, I thought that it was gonna be perfect, but I realized I even had more trauma. It even got worse, like my sadness. And then I realized I had sexual blocks from the party girl days. And then that was a whole nother story. So yeah.
Well, I'm curious, like maybe you can share if you feel aligns, what are those blocks are? Because I think a lot of women are just not aware, right? We think like we're gonna get married, everything's gonna be great. But it seems like you get married and suddenly you have this mirror in front of your face and you're triggered and it's 10 times more amplified because you're affecting a person you really love, you chose to be with, right? And so these things I feel like come up because we want to be a better person. We want to be a better mom. We want to be a better wife, but we just don't know how to do that. So I'm
Right.
curious, like, what maybe you can share a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I didn't realize that I had been low level depressed like for a long time, but I was drinking so much that I didn't actually have to access my feelings. And so that's one thing. And then I also, once I started becoming a mother, because I got pregnant on my honeymoon, right? So met my husband 90 days, 6 months we were engaged, 1 year we were married, and I was pregnant on my honeymoon. So I became a wife and a mother at the same time.
Wow.
And right. And so as that happened, I realized that I was just overworked because I believed that women were supposed to do all the stuff, the housework, the babies, the work. And I was so overwhelmed because I had never really had that much, like, I wasn't organized. And so it was just always, I was so stressed out all the time. And plus, I started to resent the life that I had asked for.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, but I still take care of my husband, so he still wants sex. And he's a Scorpio. So he's like, that's how he wants to connect with me. Right. And I'm thinking, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'm fucking tired,
Yeah.
and it's like I've started to feel used, even though that's not what was happening at all, right?
Right.
And I started reading books about like orgasms and books about like that Shakti, that sensual energy, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that there was I actually had to do an activity. I'll talk to you about it. It was some mirror work. So I had to put a mirror down there and look at my pussy for like, I'm sorry if I can say that or not, but I had to look at my pussy for like, 30 minutes to an hour. And the tears started rolling down my eyes. And I started recalling moments that I had forgotten about, things that she had experienced. Right. So, and then I realized that all the times that I had betrayed her by saying yes to someone I didn't want to say yes to, or not saying no when I didn't want it, or the times when I was blackout drunk and would have never said yes, right? And it's like all these things started coming up, and I started to feel used by my husband, even though he's the one that truly loved me amongst all the people that I had been with. And so I had to break those walls down and finally get to a place where I actually enjoy sex again and I can feel pleasure in that way.
Yeah, because it seems like when we experience trauma, and this is from, my experience working with women for so long, is that it leaves this void and we just avoid the void. And so we fill it with all this stuff. But then
Right.
when we're finally in a safe place where we feel loved and supported, that's when we're like, wait, what? Now I have to deal with this, right? Because everything I was using to avoid it, I can't avoid it anymore. It's just in
Right.
my face. And so I think that it's so powerful that you were able to do that work and really let that go and now enjoy it again, right? Because I feel like you go from 100 miles an hour to no, now I want nothing to do with this. And then the person you want to do it with, they're like, wait, what? Like,
Yeah. Right.
I'm getting punished for something I didn't do.
Absolutely. He's like, wait, what happened? Because she were chasing me when we first met.
Yeah, I think so many women go through that and they have no idea of what's actually going on. So I think it's so powerful that you're sharing that. And so, how did you become what you do now? Like, is that part of your journey, right?
It is. So I told you I did a little of the alignment work before I met him. And my whole thing is that I believe that when we have trauma and pain, I believe that we are on a frequency. And so and when we meet people in our experience on that frequency. And so if I'm having like a lot of trauma, then the person I'm bringing into my life has that trauma too, right? And so I might be kind and loving because I don't want people to feel the pain that I have felt. But some people will turn cold and hard and they project that pain onto other people, and they'll have really toxic behavior. And so when we met, I was still on a lower frequency and so was he. And we were just showing our baggage to each other all the time. We're just butting heads. And it was just like, what is going on? And then after my third child, my postpartum depression, my mask of my I'm fine mask broke. Broke and shattered to pieces, and I had to literally pick myself up. And I learned so many things about my childhood that I had been carrying, the party days I had been carrying, my mother wound I had been carrying. And as I started healing those things, I was able to find places in my relationship that I could heal. And then we started communicating. And then I got out the way because my mom was a single mother and she raised me to be a single woman, right? So
Yeah.
that was another one, right? The masculinity, we were just butting heads. So many things I learned. And I was like, oh, I got to help as many women as I can with this journey from depression to like happiness. And I'm going to just yell it from the rooftops. And so that's what got me on the journey.
I love it. That's so powerful and it's so true. So, what are some tips maybe you can give some of the moms listening to or become more aware or to start their healing journey? Or, what is something they can start doing to kind of dive into what's triggering them and letting that go?
Regarding sex or just anything.
We could do both. We could do both.
All right. So the biggest thing that when I started my like depression journey out of depression, was realizing that I had two voices in my head. There's my ego that was telling me to like, all the negative stuff that you hear, and then my higher self that knows what I want and was trying to get me there. And so the first time I noticed it, I was reading a book from Eckhart Tolle. It was called A New Earth. And he was talking about the two different, have you heard of that book?
Yeah, I love that book.
Right. Yes, it's amazing. And in that book, he talks about the ego. And that's when I finally like closed my eyes and I heard it. It's like when I got up in the morning, you hear, oh, you should get up and work out. You want to lose weight, work out. And then the other voice within a few seconds, right? It's like, just hit the snooze. You're tired. Oh, you don't want to get up, right? And I just related with that one so much more. It was so comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to observe your thoughts and hear the two ones, the two voices, because I truly believe your higher self has been here before many times and it is ingrained in the fabric of the universe. And when you ask for something in your life that you want, it knows how to get there. And so if you listen, it will give you steps daily to take to get you to where you want to be. So try to not listen to that one and listen to that one. And then Mel Robbins also does the 5-second rule for the same thing. So like if once you hear your advice from your higher self, you got 5 seconds to do it before your ego says otherwise. So that's a big one. And then for the sex, I would definitely start with the mirror work if that's the easiest for you. Grab a mirror, look down there. I know it's uncomfortable, but check it out. Also, You can like you cup your hand and put it right over your pussy and talk to her and just tell her that you're sorry for how you've betrayed her and ask her if she forgives you. I know it sounds crazy, but no, we're
No,
gonna really
it's your body.
communicate with her. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Communicate. You will hear stuff back. You're not crazy. It is you. You are one. And so really just start having a relationship with her, having your partner ask for permission if that's what she needs right now to get you back on track and just really getting her in the mood. And you're going to notice that you're going to get so much more fucking wet when you ask for permission than when she just feels like abused. I promise.
very true. Yes, I have to support that. And maybe you can touch a little bit about that alignment that you talked about that you had to align to attract your husband. Like maybe you can explain a little bit what that is, maybe.
Sure. So when I looked in the mirror and I realized that I was attracting all these losers, I called them fuck boys. I'm like, I'm a fuck girl though. Like
Yeah,
I'm drinking 4 nights a week. I'm like partying. I have different men I'm entertaining. It's like at that moment, my boyfriend got me kicked out of my apartment. I lost my job because they didn't want me to go to my college graduation. Obviously, I'm going to choose my college graduation. I
yeah,
broke up with him. He was cheating with girls. I found condoms in my house. Like it was a lot going on. But I also allowed it to go on, right? I attracted him into my life. I knew when he lied to me. I knew I wasn't happy and I just really endured it for what I don't know. I really betrayed myself. And so I said, am I the representation of a woman that the man that I say I want would be even checking for? Right? So if he's not a partier and all those things, like what am I doing? Going to the club trying to meet someone, right? So I stopped going out as much. I stopped drinking as much because I realized that I was just out of my head when I drank. And I started reading more and doing more, like trying to learn how to meditate because I didn't even know how to meditate then.
yeah.
Drinking my water, just really getting into alignment. And then it was like, I told you I lost my job and everything. I seen an ad for an old job I had in the paper and I said, I'm going to get a job at that job fair on that day. And my mom was like, are you not going to look for another job? I said, nope, I'm going to get a job on that day. So I was waiting for that day to come and my friend called me and she said, oh, my roommate just moved out. You can have the room. And I'm like, cool. So now I have a place.
Yeah.
And then I went to the job fair on that day and the job I wanted to get, they weren't taking any interviews in person, but the booth next to them was. So I interviewed there and on the way home, they hired me. So I got a job
Wow.
now. Right. And then when I went
Amazing.
to move in, I realized that my new job was walking distance to my new place.
Wow.
And I locked eyes with my husband there within like 30 days. So yeah, everything just aligned easily.
Amazing. So it's really about raising your vibration to meet that person you want to be with.
Absolutely. And you've got to be accepting and open to the fact that you are going to meet a better partner
Yeah.
because a lot of times we experience so many negative relationships that we have thoughts like, oh, there ain't no good guys left. Like all guys are dogs. Like you just start dogging them out and you will perpetuate those beliefs if that's really what you believe. And I told myself, once I become the person that I'm proud of and that I'm not ashamed of, then the man can come and be proud of me too. And that's what happened.
Yeah, I love that so much. So if our clients want, listeners want to find you, where can they find you?
So I am mostly on Facebook at Chanel Caldwell, but the at is the facebook.com/ Sister Sutra Speaks. And
Oh,
I can give you that link. Thank you.
yeah, we'll share your links and also we'll share it on your page so you can
Yes.
find it
Also,
easily if you
right.
want to know more. Hmm.
Yeah. I'm
What
also
were
on
you
TikTok for Sister Sutra Speaks and then Instagram as Sister Sutra by itself. But that's it.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Well, we're definitely going to follow you and see how we can align our energy to attract what we want in our life.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me. This was such an honor, and I really appreciate your time.
Yes, you're welcome. I loved it. I'll come back anytime and share my dirty details if you ever want.
I love that. And our listeners do too. So if you're listening and you want more dirty details, drop it in the comments and tune in with us again next week. Bye, guys.